console generation obsessed with zombies. Zombies spreading into everything, zombie games everywhere. Game developers trying to make the next big zombie hit. Even the indie side couldn't escape this infection. One man is here to study some of the games on the 360 indie side to try to find the cure to stop the spread of these zombie games. That man is Cody, live and on paper.
The 7th generation is when I would say zombie games were at their peak. I mean, yeah, they were around and popular before then. Plus, I love me some House of the Dead 2 and Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Also Resident Evil 4, but I don't know if I would call them zombies. But for a lot of the old games, zombies either weren't the main focus or not really what you'd call a modern zombie, or just sucked. But during the 7th generation, companies tried their hardest to make new games or try to insert them into old games that were never about zombies. I'd say thanks to the success of World at War Zombies. So with AAA on the trend, the indie game side was right there with them. And for the 360 indie game store, some of the most popular and remembered games were about zombies. Stuff like Castle Miner Z we talked about last time, and a game by one of my favorite indie developers called I Made a Game with Zombies in It. I always see videos talking about these specific games when I look up the Xbox 360 indie store. Anyways, for this video I'm looking at games where the zombies are the main focus and not just a single enemy in a larger group of enemies. So it only excludes 2 games, but unfortunately one of those is I Made a Game with Zombies in It. But I got plans for that one. I already talked about 2 games in my last video, being Avatar of the Dead and Deadberg, so no need to talk about them again. Now, the infection is starting to spread, so let's examine it with Let's start by killing 2 zombies with 1 big stone. Nuclear Wasteland 2030 and End of Days Survivors. Both are made by the same developer, Sick Creations, and are extremely similar. So much so that they feel just like sequels, one learning from the other. They're both round-based survival games where you kill waves of zombies and rack up enough kills to unlock new weapons and try and get a high score. The main difference are locations, the weapons, and the zombies. The way you unlock weapons in 2030 is every round you survive, you unlock a new bunker. That could be a weapon bunker, a health bunker, or an ammo bunker. And every round, the bunkers refill. End of Days, on the other hand, is point-based, just like Call of Duty Zombies. So each kill you get points, and then you go and purchase the weapons off the wall. And the ammo is just spread out all around the map. And for the zombie differences, 2030 sends a limited number of zombies at you at a time. Once you've killed them all, you get a short break and move on to the next round of zombies. Survivors, on the other hand, has a continuous zombie horde on the map at all times. And yet, it's still somehow round-based. So they just stay on the map once the round is over, and just stop attacking you and mope around. You can kill them, but you won't get any points till the next round starts. To be honest though, I find Survivors impressive with a decent amount of zombies on screen with barely any lag. But I think both of these share the same problem, that being the variety. 2030 has no special rounds and keeps the same goofy zombies throughout the whole game. And End of Days has the same zombie problem, but at least you get a noob tube bonus round and get to see the glory that is the ragdolls. Both games are too easy, yet Survivor has less consequences for dying because 2030 gives you 4 lives, even though you can barely lose 1. And End of Days has no death limit, so both are really play till you get bored. But apparently there may be an ending to Survivors, but I don't have the patience to see it. They're fine, turn off your brain and kill zombie type games, but let's turn our brain on and look at well, I might as well stick with Sick Creations. The reason why this isn't with the others is, well, this one is the worst of the 3 zombie games I have from them. Heck, I'd even say this is the worst in the video. Why, may you ask? Well, for 90% of the game you can't take any damage, so there's not really any challenge. Unlike the other 2 games, this is loosely mission-based. Each mission is exactly the same, but they have a special round that sets you up for the next mission that's the exact same. The game is that you are in a really tiny room with 4 windows high up on a tower. Since you're in a high up tower, the zombies can't come after you till the mission is over and they can finally decide to climb up. As for the missions themselves, they're just survivors and zombies are running out of the woods trying to get to your tower. So you gotta make sure they make it to your tower alive. But there's no consequence for letting them die besides just not getting the money for them. It's also back to the 3 life system, which is just like 2030's problem. They give you too many because you can hardly even lose one. There's not really a goal of how many survivors you need to save or how many you need to keep alive. It's just save them for the money. Who cares if they die? You just won't get paid. The money you get from missions is used to get new weapons and ammo, which is simple enough, but they don't give you enough money at all thanks to the ammo system. In the store, there is no refill ammo button, so you have to manually buy a lot of ammo. And worst of all is when you get a new weapon, they don't even give you any ammo. So if you buy a new gun and forget to buy ammo, you're just screwed because you can't access the store till the mission's done. And there's no ammo pickups or an unlimited ammo weapon. So all you could do is just wait for the mission to be over and for the final zombies to finally climb up so you can knife them. On the topic of zombies, these are some of the worst looking zombies I've seen. They're just human models that look like they just got out of a paintball fight. Other than that, there's no restarting the mission in the menu. So all you could do is just give up on the game. Speaking of missions, this game is the first time the company tried to make mission-based games since the other games that came before it were mostly round-based. So unfortunately, one of the aspects that this one shares with the others is no saving. So no matter how far you get, you gotta start from the beginning once you exit. So in conclusion, not really a good game. Definitely my least favorite on the list, but not as bad as Avatar of the Dead. But I've already covered it, so let's get into something better. 8-bit retro Zsurvivals, or Zsurvivals, is another round-based survival game. There's a lot of them, and I loved them. But Zsurvivals is the closest we get to Call of Duty Zombies in my collection. With a decent hit-or-miss pixel art style. Some sprites I like, some stick out, but it's a decent round-based survival game. You're in a room where zombies come through the windows, and you gotta survive for however long you can, while getting points for killing zombies and buying new weapons with those points. It's a good simple time waster, but I feel like it has a problem that a lot of the COD zombie-inspired games do. Heck, even my beloved Black Ops port for the DS shares the same problem of not having a lot of weapons or doors, so they gotta upcharge to make up for it. But thankfully Survivals at least has a good store mechanic, unlike the Keep. There's still no ammo pickups, but there's a refill ammo button, plus you can access the store at any point during a round, so instantly 100 times better. The only major problem with this game is there's no melee, so you'll be needing a ton of ammo from the start. Out of all the round-based survival games I have, this one's gotta be my favorite, even though it's got some of the smallest maps, just being one room. But there's 3 of them, unlike the other games. The maps have a really good and moody atmosphere, but the zombies on the other hand are a bit funny looking. They just feel a bit too wide and kinda don't fit. The weapons also look a bit cheesy, but the simple addicting gameplay definitely makes up for it. So it gets a good from me, and thankfully, you can get an updated version of this game that fixes some of the problems, but also adds a few new ones through the Xbox Creator Collection. The failed successor to the 360 indie game store, I think. But that's a story for another day. The $1 zombie game is okay, you know what it is. But don't worry, this is the last round-based survival game. Even if technically it's not a round-based survival game, it's basically set up like one. So it's a round-based survival game to me. But in this game, what I consider a round is actually different days that are set up like missions. Each mission you get a new set of weapons, but the map stays the same. The map in this one is really boring. It's just a courtyard surrounded by a bunch of buildings and like one electrical box. Other than talking about the boring maps and the rounds, there's really not much to talk about at all. It's just a fine dollar game, but nothing special. So, with the final round base done, it's time to go on to something different. Okay, one important thing before I start, I can't do co-op. I don't know anyone who has this game, and it's not couch co-op, so the co-op Zombie Game 2 is just now Zombie Game 2. Anyways, co-op is just like the last game. It's really simple and basic. But this time the maps actually changed, so no more single area to survive in. This time you actually get levels to go through, but they all feel the same. And everything just looks slapped together like the most flipped asset flip. The funny thing about these zombies is they do not care about the laws of physics. They'll walk over buildings, cars, or anything just to get to you. Gameplay is just going through a level, killing every zombie to open up the end of the level, and getting to that end. You do get a decent amount of weapons in this one compared to the others, and this one has actual melee weapons other than a knife, which is a change of weaponry from the others. Though they do take up a weapon space, so you're better off with a gun anyways. The weird thing is, this game is called Co-op Zombie Game 2, but I can't imagine these maps with more than one person, because they feel way too small and cramped. But unfortunately I'll never know. Unless we can find the only other person who plays it. Okay, now the best, or more advanced two, for last. I'll start with the one I don't have as much experience with, since I only played it a few times back in the day, and got most of my experience playing it for this video, and that is Survivalist. This game is impressive, especially compared to most of the other games on the store. It's a decently sized open world survival game in an isometric view. You explore the world, which is hidden by darkness until you step in that area, and it kinda reminds me of the map from Minecraft. Also, unlike most of the other indie games, it's got a decently long and simple story, which I haven't finished yet. But there's also a ton of side quests, exploration, and characters. It does have your typical survival zombie game mechanics with crafting, hunger, thirst, and sleep meters. But one interesting thing this game adds too is that one of your characters is diabetic, so you gotta keep track and make sure you have insulin. Also, along with the insulin, something this game does that I really like is there's an antidote for zombie bites. It's something that I really like when it's inserted into zombie games. Something like Zombrex and Dead Rising. So that way, instead of your character being immune or taking thousands of zombie bites and still being perfectly fine, you gotta take an antidote if you get bit, which thankfully isn't common as long as you keep your stamina up, because as long as you have it, you'll always push the zombies off. But once you run out of it, you get bit. The gameplay is also interesting because on screen there's a view of what your character sees, or just your face when nothing else is around you. So whenever you're aimed at a zombie or talking to someone, it will show it. The only thing about this game is some of the presentation is a bit goofy. Like the constant showing of your character's face as you run, it just looks funny. Also, the running animations is also really funny, especially when you send a zombie flying when they run towards you and jump. I'd say it's definitely worth a check out, since this one's actually on Steam too, so you can check it out. And now, on to the finale. Now, the best for last. The game that's sequel is still being worked on to this day, and that is Murder Miners. On the surface, it's just one of those Minecraft games that I keep running into. You know the one. The Minecraft before Minecraft came out on the 360. But this one's actually mixed with Halo, and it's great. Now I know I said I wouldn't do games where the zombies are just a single enemy in a larger cast of enemies. But this is kind of the one exception, since the infection mode is what I spend a majority of my time playing. But since it's like Halo, you gotta have PvP, which I didn't play as much. Then you got the building mode, which, just like any game that has it, was always used amazingly. Now, what makes this game so special to me? Well, I feel like no matter who you are, you have, or at least had, a community for something that was small, or not that popular. But that community was great and made lots of cool and amazing stuff. Murder Miners was one of those for me. The community maps that I do still have were amazing, and most of the times you'd see familiar names making them. Now, getting into the gameplay, how is the infected survival mode? It's okay. It feels the same, but with no rounds. It's mostly point-based, and it feels much harder than the others, mainly because I feel like it's mainly balanced for multiplayer. At least the 360 version, because they spawn in and they don't stop till the game is over. It also could be based on the map size too, but it definitely feels like it's for multiplayer. I really like the look of these zombies too. They're not goofy like the other games. They make these ones feel very alien, and that totally fits the world perfectly. I like how their hands turn into claws unlike normal zombies that just unlock strength, even though nothing's changed about their bodies. The weapons are pretty good too. They got your basic pistol, shotgun, assault rifle, sniper rifle, and the building gun of this game. All that came out with the game, but over time they added the sword, the battle rifle, and even beat Halo in putting in a grappling hook. Most guns have a special, but unfortunately having a scope counts as a special for the sniper, battle rifle, and the pistol. The assault rifle special will fire the entire mag and won't stop shooting till it's empty. The shotgun makes you camouflaged into the blocks. It's useless with bots, but it's perfect when playing online. Now, unfortunately, I can't find any games on 360, but thankfully this one's also re-released on the Xbox and Steam. It's still decently played on Xbox too. Nothing major, maybe 2 or 3 games running at the same time, so I've been playing a bunch of games on that. The re-release is about the same game with a couple new weapons added, and it still seems like Infection Mode is still the most popular, so that's a full zombie game for me. Well, after looking through all these zombie games, it's obvious a big majority of these were mostly the same round-based survival games. But hey, as a teen obsessed with zombies, I loved them. As for ranking, I'd do the Keep Zombie Horde in last, no questions. Then the Co-op Zombie Game 2, followed by Dollar Zombie Game, Nuclear Wasteland 2030, End of Days Survivors, Survivalist, 8-Bit Retro Zsurvivals, and then my favorite being Murder Miners. Thankfully, my top 3 games are still available elsewhere, so go check those out, and I'd also suggest checking out the masterpiece called I Made a Game with Zombies in It on Steam, for free too. Which I didn't cover in this video, but it's an amazing game and may even beat Murder Miners on my ranking, but I'm saving that for a different video. So until next time, I'll be discovering an antidote so you don't follow in the zombie game trend and be the next infected.